I believe, because the WNBA owners will sit down with Nafesia Collier and Kelsey Plum. Okay, the WNBPA vice presidents, as well as Nike Agumake, the president. Like I said, this is fresh breaking news, front office sports. The WNBA and the Players Union will meet in person in New York City on Monday for the first time since the fall.
Monday is shaping up to be a massive day for the WNBA's future. For the first time since negotiations collapsed back in the fall, the league and the Players Union are going to be in the same room, same city, same building, and this time, nobody's hiding behind emails or letting proposals sit untouched for weeks on end. Here's what's been reported.
Since the fall, amid stalled CBA negotiations. Talking to reporters at Unrivaled, WNBPA VP Kelsey Plum said she and Nafesia Collier will travel to New York after their teams play each other in Miami on Sunday night. WNBPA President Nike Agumake will be in attendance as well, along with the league's CBA leadership, Labor Relations.
The WNBA and the Players Association are set to meet face-to-face in New York City. Kelsey Plum and Nafesia Collier, both vice presidents of the union, will head to New York after their unrivaled squads face off against each other in Miami on Sunday night. Nick Agum, the president of the Players Association, will be there too. The league is sending its full CBA negotiation group, including its labor relations staff. On top of all that, team owners are expected to be in the building as well, though nobody has confirmed whether every single one of them will show up. One of the bigger questions floating around is whether Adam Silver himself will be sitting at that table.
Committee and the league and union staff. A source with direct knowledge of the meeting told Front Office Sports. The meeting will also include team owners, but the source declined to say whether all would attend. I am going to be very interested to know whether or not Adam Silver is at this meeting. Quote, I feel extremely excited for the opportunity to be there in person, Plum said. Obviously, with other players.
That detail alone could signal a lot about how seriously the ownership side is taking this particular meeting. Plum spoke to reporters at an Unrivaled event and made it clear she sees this as a turning point. She said the fact that both sides are finally committing to being in the same space is the most important development in a while. There's a feeling cautious, but real, that something might actually shift this time around. And something needs to shift, because the current situation is a dead end. The union submitted a proposal back at the end of December.
Players that are really invested in this, in the executive committee, then of course the league making a commitment to be there. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. We're meeting together, and hopefully we'll have something. Okay, so maybe there is a little movement. Maybe they know there is a little movement on a potential agreement. The WNBPA sent a proposal at the end of December that the league
looked at it and decided it wasn't worth a formal response. Not a rejection letter, not a counteroffer, nothing. For over a month, the Players Association heard silence. The league's reasoning, according to sources close to the situation, was blunt. The proposal wasn't realistic enough to even engage with. What the union is asking for is 30% of gross revenue. The league's answer to that has been a flat no.
The WNBPA sent a proposal at the end of December that the league failed to respond to. For more than 4 weeks, the league didn't believe the contents of the union's proposal warranted a response. According to a source familiar with the league's thinking, we all know what those parameters are. Everything is stuck around revenue sharing at a 70-30 split, 30% of gross to the players. The league is saying, no, this is never happening. We will give you
what they're willing to put on the table is a share of net revenue, meaning the league has to actually stop losing money before any of that shared pool opens up. For a business that has never once turned a profit, offering gross revenue to the players is basically agreeing to keep bleeding money forever. The ownership group isn't interested in that conversation anymore. Agum addressed all of this publicly just recently, and her tone made it clear she's frustrated. She told reporters that fewer than 100 days remain before the 30th season of the WNBA is supposed to kick off, and the two sides are still stuck in exactly the same spot they were months ago. She pushed back on the league's decision to ignore the union's proposal, calling it concerning and saying there's no good reason to dismiss a document that's been sitting on the table for that long without even acknowledging it.
Net revenue share, but we are not giving you gross revenue share of a league that's never turned a profit. So that brings me over to the union leader and her comments that she made that just came out earlier this morning about where things are at. All right. Fewer than 100 days remain before the start of the 30th season. Despite that, negotiations.
But the league's position hasn't budged. Sources familiar with their thinking have made it known that they consider the union's demands to be so far out of reach that a response would almost be insulting to send. Instead of engaging with what's on paper, they're waiting for the players to come back with something that actually reflects the financial reality of where this league stands. That's the ask. A more grounded number, something that accounts for the fact that the WNBA has been operating in the red for its entire existence.
100 days remain before the start of the 30th season. Despite that, negotiations between the league and the union remain at a standstill. So, this is what she said, according to an ESPN report. Quote, "It is not a constructive way to continue on these negotiations," talking about the fact that the league is not engaging with the players at all, especially considering the timeline we're in. Nikki Agumake told Front Office Sports in a phone interview. To give the excuse.
Agum also pushed back on the idea that the league is being disrespectful of the clock. She acknowledged that something like this takes time to work through properly and expressed a belief that if both sides do it right, there's still a path to getting a deal done and having a season. But doing it right in this case means real compromise, and right now, that compromise is mostly going to have to come from the players' side. There could be a little room for the league to bump up base salaries slightly. That's a reasonable place to look for give and take. The current offer on salary for a league that has never made money is already generous by most measures.
Sports in a phone interview. To give the excuse that our proposal was not adequate is concerning. It's just now concerning? I mean, that proposal's been out there for a month. And it emerged probably at least 2 weeks ago. I would say that the league was making it known that they thought the proposal was basically so ridiculous, it did not.
The numbers have been broken down repeatedly, and they hold up, but there are other pieces of this that are actively working against the players in the court of public opinion. The housing demand is one of the worst ones. Under the terms being discussed, average salaries in the new agreement are going to land around $500,000 a year, $500,000. And the players are still pushing for the league to help cover where they live.
I think in general, that is pretty good. But this game I thought was very good. I thought it was very, very good. I can't lie. I felt like it was a fantastic performance by Aaliyah Boston. Paige was good. Paige was good. Again, she hit some shots, but she's gone back to her I'm never shooting threes again phase, and I'm just going to try foul bait. And she does it well. It's a little bit more. She missed her first three early and didn't even look at the basket after that. Rikia, I thought, was the best player on.
That's a hard sell to anyone watching from the outside. Nobody is going to feel sorry about an apartment situation when the paycheck looks like that. If someone can't afford to live in New York City or Los Angeles on that salary, the answer isn't for the league to cut a check, it's to look somewhere else. Get a roommate. Move to a city where rent isn't eating half the income.
Rikia, I thought, was the best player on the Breeze. Rikia was fantastic. Like, she was just hunting mismatches the whole game. Kate Martin was real bad. Like, she just kept shooting one leg fades. It was weird. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was very weird what the way Aaliyah Boston was playing, or not Aaliyah Boston, Kate Martin was playing. But at the end of the day, look, it is what it is, and that happened. But Aaliyah Boston was unbelievable. She was.
These are the kinds of demands that have cost the players a massive chunk of the fans who were once on their side. The goodwill that built up over the past couple of years has been chipping away fast, and stuff like this is a big reason why. So here's what Monday could look like when it's all said and done. There are really only two roads out of that room. Either the ownership group draws a firm line, lays out the absolute parameters of what a deal can look like, and forces the players to decide whether they're willing to work within those boundaries, or the whole thing falls apart on the spot.
But Aaliyah Boston was unbelievable. She was unbelievable again. I wonder what her plus minus was. 6. But I thought she was literally like her, Tip Hayes and Kelsey Plum. I thought when they went away from their starters, it was a struggle. I really did think once they went away from their starters, it was a huge, huge struggle for the team, just purely because they just struggled. I thought Kiki, I didn't even think Kiki was bad, but I thought Kiki.
A lockout or a strike could walk right out of that meeting if nobody finds the middle ground. The owners, many of whom also run NBA franchises, are not going to keep pouring resources into a product that demands more than it can sustain. They've made that abundantly clear. Monday is when this thing either starts moving or completely breaks open. There isn't much room left between those two outcomes.
Struggled. I thought Kiki, I didn't even think Kiki was bad, but I thought Kiki was kind of their only bench player. I thought Tash Clay was absolutely horrific. Like, don't get me started on Tash Cloud. I thought she was terrible. Like, she was just doing mad shit. At least Kiki, when it came down to it, at least she got hers. At least Kiki Iriafen was, she was getting hers. She was scoring, and it was just that the other team were better.
The Philly stop for Unrivaled turned out to be pretty much as good as it could have gone, all things considered. And the reason that needs to be said with some context is because this league has been having a real hard time moving tickets. So to pull off a one-off event in a city with a passionate sports crowd and actually fill the building 21,000 people, legitimately packed, that deserves credit, genuinely. The place was buzzing and the crowd was into it.
And it was just that the other team were better when she was on, like the other teams happened to be better when Kiki was on the floor. But I thought Aaliyah was fantastic. I really did. Like the 3-point shooting that Aaliyah Boston is suddenly showing, I'm like, if the Fever get this version of Aaliyah, it's GG's. It's GG's for the league. If the Fever can manage to get themselves this version of Aaliyah Boston next season, I don't see how the league can keep up, because this version of Aaliyah is...
But nobody should pretend this is a sign that things are turning around for attendance across the board. This is basically the Caitlin Clark effect all over again on a smaller scale. Drop into the right city at the right moment and you'll always get a sellout. Pull the Indiana Fever into any random arena and it's a packed house. Show up there 2 weeks later without them and you're looking at a half-empty building. One night doesn't prove anything on its own.
You can keep up, because this version of Aaliyah is outrunning Malonga, is shooting pick and pop threes, is doing everything. Is doing absolutely everything that you want from a player to do. And I have to say, it really is one of those ones where I'm like, you have to give Aaliyah credit. Like, her improvement in her game is crazy. She hit like a dribble pull. They were calling it a step back three. It was more of a dribble fake hand.
What it does prove is that Unrivaled knows how to play this game strategically. A handful of these events scattered throughout the year hit Philly this time, drop into another market next year, and you're pulling decent money without needing to sustain anything long term. That's a smart play. Keep it short, keep it special, and don't overstay the welcome. The actual basketball in this one was a cut above most of what Unrivaled has put out recently.
More of a dribble fake hand, almost like a fake handoff, or looking like she wasn't going to do anything, and then walking backwards and saying, screw this, I'm pulling up. But like, Aaliyah Boston hit basically what was a game-winning three in this game. It was a game-deciding three. It was a tie game, first to 5 wins. And if you hit a three, you are in great shape. You're in absolutely great shape. Had a good chance at a game winner. Missed a shooting over Cam Brink. But in fairness, shooting over Cam Brink is not an easy thing to do. So
Aaliyah Boston was the standout of the night by a wide margin. She was absolutely dominant, the kind of performance where every touch felt like it was going somewhere dangerous. and the part that's genuinely surprising is her shooting from deep. Boston has started pulling up from well beyond the arc with real confidence, and she's making them. A dribble fake, a step back, a look like she had zero intention of doing anything, and then she just lets it fly.
So, like, it is what it is in that scenario. As much as you would love to say, oh yeah, it should be easy shooting over Cam Brink, it's really not. It's really, really not. But yeah, look, I do feel like the Unrivaled got exactly what they wanted to go in Philly. They got exactly what they wanted. They got a big crowd who, in fairness, were loud, and they all wanted to be there, and it was a huge deal. The reason why.
The three she hit in the closing stretch was essentially the dagger. Tied game, first to 5 wins, and she buries it. After that, the other squad was basically toast. Boston's improvement over the past stretch has been wild. If the Fever end up with this version of her next season, the rest of the league is in serious trouble.